All right, guys, let's get to the final game here of the week. And this is a real game here. So let's get to Sunday Night Football. Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins for the division, and for the Bills, maybe even for the playoffs, depending on how things all play out, because they could be as high as the 2 seed and could be out of the playoffs, depending on how things play out, which is just incredibly wacky. This is a expensive 2.5. It got to 3, has come off of that number. And here we are sitting at the 2.5. Adam, I played the 2.5 on the Bills, and I can't say that I'm in love with it. I played it off of what we saw from the Dolphins, what I thought the injury report was going to be, and mainly that I thought that Tua was going to show up on that injury report. And instead, he did show up, but it was just his full practices for him. And so I understand there are still a lot of dudes to be accounted for in this one, and that is something that I think you should take into your handicap, guys. If you're wondering for, we're doing this before we get Friday injury report on Dolphins, but on Thursday, DNPs, Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill, Xavier Howard, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, and then we had limited practices on 3 different offensive linemen, a couple of linebackers. So there's a lot going on the Miami injury report. That said, my bet was based off of it being the quarterback, and that ended up not being the case at all. I don't hate the 2.5. It's not my favorite bet of the week, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So this isn't the easiest handicap of the week for me of every game that we've looked at. The total is still sitting 48.5 in some places. Why? Guys, Josh Allen threw for 160 yards last week, right? And I know they could run the ball, but okay, anytime you tell me a team is going to focus on the run, then I'm going to tell you to bet an under just based on the amount of clock that is going to be ground up. This is an under based on the way these two teams have been going also. You mentioned all of the injury concerns for Miami. Well, on Buffalo's side of the ball, even healthy, it has not mattered in terms of scoring points. This is maybe one of the totals that I have had the least amount of understanding of in the entire season. Like, if you could play this as an alt if you wanted to push this down to say 47, like, I would feel comfortable with that. I just don't see where in a game that means everything for both of these teams, we're going to open up and YOLO the offense and all of a sudden have both of them being so high variance that we get into a ton of points. It's an under for me.
Yeah, given the injury situation. Also, listen, I didn't mention it, but he was also full practices, but Josh Allen got a stinger last week. Like, there's also that plays into it. So a lot to kind of take in and digest on this one, Steven. 2.5 right now, Bills over the Dolphins.
If Pittsburgh wins and Jacksonville wins, that means the Bills could get knocked out of the playoffs if they lose this game. So I'd be very nervous in that scenario if I'm a Buffalo fan, because everything Adam said, I completely agree with. First of all, this is actually 2 teams I was looking to bet against because of all the injuries with Miami and because of the way the Buffalo offense has looked in recent weeks, being extremely run heavy and Josh Allen not being efficient. So I'm staying away from the spread, although at 3, it would never be Buffalo. Now it's more closer to a pick 'em, so it's just tough. But our entire staff is with you, Adam. Like, I bet the under, Eli bet the under, Mo bet the under. We're all in agreement on this. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They're just not the same Buffalo Bills as they were offensively earlier in the season or last year. And combine that as well with the defense for Buffalo actually playing better. Since their bye week, they're number 4 overall by EPA and number 2 by dropback EPA here. So this is a dead under team for me right now. If they're going to keep putting it around 50.